North of 49, a guide to the rest of your life.
Welcome to North of 49. Today we meet Jay Lundy, an inspirational, self-made man who's built businesses by following his passions and his intuition. Still single in his 50s, Jay's a guy who thrives on creating community and is finding new ways to challenge himself and to make meaning in his life through volunteerism. We'll also talk with experts about 3 of Jay's North of 49 compass points: career, romance, and a surprisingly common health issue, and how you can maximize your life north of 49 in those areas too.
The Voyageurs are to Canada like the cowboy is to the US. Today the challenges are no less daunting. They're just not as physical.
As the owner of an adventure learning company and a corporate motivational speaker, Jay Lundy is a guy who has spent the better part of his adult life inspiring other people to realize potential within themselves. So it's no surprise that when Jay navigated the north of 49 border into his 50s, he saw the life transition as an opportunity to take on new adventures instead of slowing down to put his feet up in a deck chair.
Retirement doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't, because I can't see myself ever not having something I'm passionate about and working towards.
Right now, Jay's passions see him owning and operating 2 small businesses, and he's in the process of launching a 3rd. In many ways, the freedom Jay has given himself to follow his heart is the result of a challenging life event.
My parents died when I was 17, 18 years old, and I was really kind of left adrift. I got some counseling, went through 2 or 3 days of assessment saying, what are my natural skills? Where am I going?
It was recommended that Jay should become a designer, so he took on a job as a landscape architect. But a chance meeting at a bar in Ottawa turned his life around again when he discovered that it wasn't landscapes that he really wanted to design. It was ideas.
It changed my life. I had that conversation, went, oh my God, there's another thing waiting for me. So within 2 months, I handed in my resignation to the landscape architecture firm, went back to university, got my diploma in adult education.
These days, Jay applies the possibilities of design to most facets of his life.
No one could argue that you weren't working hard. Now, if I took one camera and zoomed back at the whole canoe though, the canoe is going nowhere. The story I tell myself about what's possible, that's all design too. I'm surrendering to that intuition. I guess as I've aged and now I'm sort of being, north of 49, I've learned to trust my intuition. I've become more of myself.
And yet, with all his incredible energy and focus, one thing that's remained elusive in Jay's life is a long-term romantic relationship. But he refuses to let that get him down.
It's about trying to be still and not get anxious because of, where does that, what's behind all that anxiousness? What's the story I'm telling myself about, well, if I'm alone or if I'm not married, or don't have kids, what does that mean? Well, it can mean all kinds of things. It doesn't have to always mean negative.
What Jay does have, and he revels in it accordingly, is a real community of good friends. He's also active in sports and philanthropy, and was recently asked to volunteer as chair of the Canadian National Squash Championships. The position is one he chose to embrace wholeheartedly because of what it had to offer, yet another opportunity to learn and grow.
I went, well, thank you, but let me think about it. So I asked myself 3 questions. Is it difficult? Is it complex? And is it worthwhile? And it was yes to all 3, and that's why I took it. Because I'm not going to take on volunteer work that isn't going to stretch me, because there's got to be a payback. And for me, the payback is, I thought, well, what can I learn from this? What is it that I want to push myself towards? And that is being a better leader. And being a better leader is about being. And being is about in those moments of challenge.
And his sport of choice, squash, also offers another great learning experience.
How am I taking victory and how am I taking defeat? I mean, the game itself is a perfect metaphor. I mean, there are times when I'm getting my butt kicked terribly, and I beat myself up, and I go, okay, well, wait a minute, like, how healthy is that? And I'm facing that, and where else am I beating myself up in the things that I may not be doing as well as I could? So my sport becomes a bit of a practice hall for other parts of my life.
It seems the bottom line of how Jay has chosen to live his life is this: take responsibility for your own life, have the courage to design your own life, and then do your best to live it.
The more we buy into the story that we're being told, the less we believe in our own little voice, our own little story, which is as valid. That's the journey. That's the challenge. Is how do I live my life, my story within the context of everything else that I'm hearing that I should be or could be or might be.
On your mark, get set, go! Paddle hard, paddle
These
hard.
canoes, though, they're perfect because they epitomize teamwork, leadership, cooperation, the journey, all of that.
And salute! 1, 2, 3, salute!
North of 49, a guide to the rest of your life.